The eviction ceiling, this eviction ceiling bill will help decrease homelessness. It will help increase earnings, and it will help decrease educational outcomes. We are in the midst of a housing crisis. Most low-income families in Rhode Island spend more than half of their monthly income on housing, leaving little room for necessities like utilities, healthcare, savings, car payment, food. The fear of eviction also looms over the heads of many tenants and behind the backs of many low-income folks like a monster. The threat of homelessness for many people, especially after the pandemic, is ever near. As a formerly low-income person whose family had to face eviction multiple times, I don't have to imagine the stories, the shame, or the fear of eviction, but I ask that you imagine for me and understand that eviction is not just a singular event. It is a life-altering cascade of events that follow families, children, Rhode Islanders for a minimum of 7 years. Renters in our state are overburdened by the cost of housing. Wages have stayed stagnant, but housing costs have skyrocketed, leaving many with an overwhelming question: rent or food, rent or medicine, rent or gas, rent or car payment. This puts many of our families in a place to make decisions about life's necessities or putting a roof over their head. I saw my own mother make decisions like this growing up. The goal of this legislation is to ensure that no family experiences long-term housing instability due to lack of support while navigating housing court. Renters should be able to access tools that they need to understand their rights, get supports to navigate an often confusing and expensive legal process, and evictions are quite frankly avoidable. A life of access to affordable housing should be a right to all renters. With an eviction, your chances of finding safe, quality, and affordable housing significantly reduce. You may be forced to find more expensive housing or move from a city where your current job is, where your family is, where your children's school is, where accessible and affordable daycare is, or it might force you to pay a higher percentage of your daily income for finances, meaning that you're going to be more likely to get an eviction in the future. According to the eviction tracking system, which is a database of evictions out of the Eviction Lab at Princeton University that draws on millions of records dating back to early 2000s, the numbers in Rhode Island are extremely concerning. Since December 2022, evictions have been higher than they were pre-COVID. The alarm bell should be ringing right now for everyone in this room, and we must act. In March of this year, eviction rates were up 64% from what they were pre-COVID, meaning that in the last month, 13% of COVID rates, meaning that over 500 evictions have been filed in the last month alone, meaning that the risk of homelessness and housing instability long-term, again up to 10 years, are at the highest rate our state has ever seen, even before COVID. We can and must pass this legislation to protect and prevent homelessness in our state and seal evictions. There are some examples from COVID where there were eviction diversion programs and funds put into the district court and through United Way to ensure that landlords receive payment in the case of mispayments, and that evictions were dismissed and sealed in the courts. That was a COVID-era policy that has since elapsed. So there is precedent in Rhode Island for the sealing of evictions in the case of curing violations and also sealing them upon a motion from the courts. And we have also, in the last 2 years since I've been introducing this piece of legislation, have worked with the courts to solidify this language to something that they are comfortable with. And we have been in conversations with the courts, and they are comfortable moving forward with the language that you have before you today. And that is Senate Bill 912.